If you're looking for an Airbnb this year and interest rates are tough, you probably wish you had a 2.99% rate. But did you know you could still find those and get those this year? I'm about to drop some knowledge crumbs, some little cookies on you, but I need you to subscribe, to like, support the channel. I'm really opening the books up here. But this is a way for you to acquire cheap mortgages. There are sellers out there in the Airbnb market that will be selling because their revenue is down, but they have great mortgages and you might want those rates. Seller financing is subject to are creative ways for you to acquire these Airbnbs. To have the owner of them lend you some money of their equity so you don't have to put the full down, you don't have to qualify, or they might let you assume their cheap mortgage. This is out there, you just have to go ask for it and look for it. Here's how you capitalize on the Airbnb bust. There's going to be a lot of sellers this year that are looking to offload their Airbnbs since revenue is down roughly 20% in most major markets. But this is actually an opportunity for you as an investor to get cheap mortgages, where the numbers still might make sense at the rates they acquired them at. So you have the opportunity to this year to have the seller lend you money, seller financing, as part of the sale, or let you assume their cheap mortgage. You just have to look for it and find it. So before we break it down, the Airbnb bust, I'm gonna ask you a favor. We're taking this Friday, hanging out in the studio, giving you content. Hit like, hit subscribe. We really appreciate it if you support the channel. So what is seller financing in real estate? Seller financing is, for example, imagine if the owner has full ownership of the house, no mortgage, and they want to sell it, but they can't get the price that they want from a conventional buyer. You could come in and you could ask them to lend you money from their equity when you buy the house. So you could come in with almost or sometimes 0% down and pay them a fixed amount per month because they might not be motivated by a lump sum. They may want that cash flow over time. So seller financing is when they write a mortgage or a note on the house to you, the new buyer. And if you don't pay, they can foreclose on you, but it's a way to acquire an Airbnb or a normal real estate asset cheaply and at rates that you can negotiate directly with the seller. So this probably sounds like a really good deal as a buyer, right? They're gonna lend me money at some good interest rate. I don't have to use a bank. Now let's flip it around. Why would the seller offer seller financing? Well, I'll tell you from my personal perspective, being a seller in a seller financing deal. It was difficult for me to get someone to buy it at the price I wanted with a conventional loan. I was motivated by both the cash flow and a lump sum, but I didn't need someone to put down 20% to motivate me to sell it. So for me, it was a way to get the price that I wanted as a seller and a way for me to motivate buyers by giving them a cheap mortgage and an extra loan that I lent to them personally, that I can actually go out and sell on the side. So as a seller, I am lending, or I'm lending to someone part of the equity on the house, but I can also sell that to someone else and fully cash flow out my equity. So it's a really powerful tool in 2023 to sell your Airbnbs at the price you want. You might be wondering what the numbers look like in a deal like this, so I'll break down my personal sale that I'm under contract for. So the house is $675,000, the contract price to sell it. I owe $452,000. Now after agent fees, that's about $200K equity on the house and a $450K mortgage at 2.99%. So I'm asking the seller, he's under contract, to put $70,000 down, and I will seller finance him $145,000 at a 6% interest rate, which will be due after 5 to 10 years, probably about 7 years for this deal. So he'll have time to refinance it when rates go low. So the buyer gets to put down $70K and acquire an Airbnb that can make him tens of thousands. And me, the seller, I get to close at the price that I want, and I can fully cash flow all of my money out by taking the seller financing note, which is $145,000, and I can go sell it to a company that specializes in buying notes. So I can get his cash in 70, and I can cash out my note to get my $200,000 on the price that I wanted on my house. So that's why a seller would do it, and those are what the numbers look like. So you might be looking for an Airbnb in 2023 and asking, how do I find sellers like you, Dan? How do I find sellers willing to give me a 2.99% interest rate, and what are the steps involved? And if I were to break it down at a very high level, it's 3 quick steps. It's finding a location that you're comfortable with that's legal to run Airbnbs. And step 2, it's figuring out what terms you're looking for on the seller financing deal. What interest rate do you want them to give you? What length and what year do you want the balloon payment due to give yourself a chance to refinance? And once you figured those 2 things out, then it's just a searching game. Have your realtor or do it yourself call all the houses and the realtors and ask if they offer seller financing. And if the house has been on a market for a long time, like the more likely someone is to do that. So target houses that have been on the market for a long time and come in with offers that are creative, and you'll be surprised to see who accepts it. And then scale with the strategy, rinse and repeat. So this is obviously a lot of the steps, but not everything as part of this process. If you want to follow along as I execute a seller financing deal, subscribe, like to the channel. It's obviously a lot of effort to put out content like this, but I'm passionate about helping other people follow a similar path. But you can help me by subscribing, following. Stay tuned to see whether I close this and if I can get my money out.